Jeff, great to see you. As you mentioned, we are wearing our matching Patagonia Attorney St. Jenkins
Yeah,
today.
we got the memo.
Has that ever
Wearing our
happened before?
swag.
That was not planned for people who are listening. We did not plan this.
Not planned, just
Pure
aligned.
aligned, pure serendipity. Well, in addition to our jackets, we're, for folks catching this live, already know that it is Tuesday, February 10th. But if you're watching this at a later time, now you know when we're recording this. And yesterday, I wanted to start this conversation. Now, there's a big topic that's probably not super tactical and relevant quite yet, but it's going to be soon enough. And that is testing ads in ChatGPT.
Yes.
OpenAI announced this on February 9th. We knew it was coming. Um, I'm not going to go through everything in the announcement. I think folks should go check this out. Short answer is it's not supposed to impact answers, of course. They have some screenshots. They look like typical ads. They're not the ones so far that they've released. They're not like in context, which, did you catch the Anthropic Super Bowl ad?
I saw one of them, and I got to tell you, I thought Anthropic just nailed it with those ads. They were so well done.
So good.
The one I saw was, I'm trying to think, it was about like the mothers, or like asking about the relationship with the mom.
But it's like the therapy context.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of them, but the other one that I really liked was the personal trainer one. But you can go, they posted them all on YouTube, so you can go see them. But it's, and again, it reminded me, there's that, I don't know did you ever see that Black Mirror episode called?
Totally, with the brain implant where she, yep.
And so, you watch those Anthropic commercials and you can't help but at least I couldn't. I instantaneously thought of that, and the how wild that is. That's these are the conversations we're having. But anyway, in the context of law firms, don't suspect that there will be a shortage of lawyers who are chomping at the bit to advertise on ChatGPT. I'd be really curious to see what tracking infrastructures and analytics and data ChatGPT is going to give to advertisers, and whether those ads will convert. We don't know that yet. This is an all new uncharted
What's your
territory.
gut take? Without, obviously you need to see it to actually know, but what do you think in terms of what you've seen?
I mean, look, I'll put it this way: at a minimum, it will impact consumer legal services, consumer behavior, like whether that's from a branding opportunity, right? Will we get to not like? Will we get to? Here's my thing. See, the ads are one layer to this, because you think about this. I'm on there and I'm doing, as we talked about with our research with Near Media, I'm doing legal research. Whatever legal context, you're trying to figure out things about your situation. You're crafting all these prompts to get all this information and this research. And you're going to start seeing ads for law firms pop up, presumably. And I think that, yeah, they'll, just like search ads, I think there'll be some conversion there. Yeah. Whether it's as efficient as search has been historically, what the cost per will be, the cost per wanted lead, the cost per client.
I mean, search worked so well because of that high intent. Like, the intent seems like it could be all over the board differently.
Well, that's the thing. That's gonna be the question is like, how are they deciding where to show the ads, right? Like, that's the magic of it. Now they're going to say, we're going to use AI to do that. So the AI is going to know that this is a high intent, blah, blah. Anyway, still though, that's not quite the same as what Anthropic did, which is the contextual ad, right? So like, instead of just showing me an ad, they're like, oh, it's a part of the response is this response sponsored by so and so. Or in an agentic world, you know, hey, I'll call so and so law firm on your behalf, sponsored by law firm.
Yeah.
Those are the ones where I think things get a little bit more dicey, and we're not quite there yet, but that's what's coming next, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
That's
stay
a good
tuned.
observation. I think so too.
But I was looking at the I'll be honest, I haven't dove as deep maybe as I should on this quite yet, because I don't think I don't want to be the guinea pig for this.
Yeah.
But I understand what I saw is like CPM, so cost per 1,000 impressions of around $60. Now that my hunch is that that's going to change wildly as they start to like assess the market. But
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, of course, all of this AI excitement not only generated on the ad side of the house, but I want to read you an email. These are the kind of emails I get, Jeff. And I'm sure there's some lawyers. Lawyers are listening. I'm sure that they're familiar with these emails too.
I guarantee they've gotten them.
And again, in my tradition of calling out offenses but not offenders, we are not going to name the offender or who we got this email from.
But anonymize it for us, Guy.
Here it is. Here's the email subject: GEO caps plus SEO caps plus AEO all caps digital PR placements. Now, let me just keep reading it, and then we'll reserve our commentary for after. Blank offers white label digital PR placements for law firms. GEO targeted brand mention posts to enhance brand visibility and AI overviews. AEO optimized editorial posts for voice search, AI powered chatbots, and featured snippets. And SEO focused keyword guest posts targeting organic search rankings. I'm gonna move my cord. How about all of the above three?
Ooh, there's more.
One digital PR post to enhance AEO plus GEO plus SEO performance for your brand. Interested in a trial order? So I'm gonna try to be the most judicious reader as I possibly can be. All right. Forgetting about the acronyms for a second, okay? For people that are following along at home, I'm not going to fight about the acronyms. I don't care what you call it. We're talking about visibility in AI-powered search or AI-assisted information retrieval, conversational AI, LLMs, all that kind of stuff. In short, ChatGPT and Google's AI mode eventually. And how to show up for them. Okay, so digital PR placements. First one, brand mention posts to enhance visibility, brand visibility. So look, I'm all for brand mention posts to enhance brand visibility. Where are you getting those? Where are those posts going? What's in them? Were they created by artificial intelligence themselves? That's what I would like to know. So again, brand mention posts, great. 2, editorial posts. Yeah,
for sure.
That sounds great. Editorial posts. You're building relationships with journalists. They're covering your firm. Maybe they're covering stuff you're doing in the community. Sounds great. I'm skipping the acronym. Focused keyword guest posts. Now, here's the thing. We know what that one is, right? We've been doing this long enough to know about SEO focused keyword guest posts. And again, this follow-up questions are like, well, where are they being posted? What are the sites? What are the posts? Yada, yada, yada. Are they being way overly abused? Yes. But that's the funny thing about this is like, this is the same game over again?
Yeah, this is a brand new wrapper on the same thing.
And you're just like, look, even if you give folks a judicious reading of the stuff, go look at the stuff. And how are you going to hold it accountable for business metrics?
The thing that gets me too is the AI is probabilistic. It's returning what it thinks is the best answer, right? But based on predicting it. And everybody's still trying to jam it into You do this stuff and you're going to get ranked in the AI. You're not. That's not what it is. It's a librarian, right? In terms of what it's. Sorry, search is closer to librarian in terms of what it's returning, right? Whereas this is more like someone that knows, and then it's giving you an answer like a friend.
And here's my thing. I don't even want to get into it about the technology and the probabilistic stuff. It's also a dramatic change in user behavior. The prompts are not the same as the search queries. I mean, you use ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, it's conversational. I'm having a conversation.
Right? You're not just like search query 1, search query 2. That is a fundamental difference that needs to be accounted for in all of this, visibility stuff. Because again, even if I grant, trying to be judicious, I'm even going to grant you are somehow, and maybe not as complexly as we might be led to believe by some other people, but you can influence a firm's visibility on several independent machines more regularly. Great job. Are you surfacing them for prompts that are actually turning into clients? And until you see it in some of these firms, and it's funny because it's like there is a huge overlap, not only between the types of things you would do in a historical SEO context, but also in this context. But you're already starting to see some lawyers that are saying that because they've had high visibility in Google, and these tools are also grounded in search results. You've seen the fan out query stuff, and so they're grounded in search, and so there is an overlap between visibility, not a one for one, but there's some correlation between visibility in search and in these tools. And you see lawyers that have high search rankings, historical search rankings, saying things like, I'm starting to see ChatGPT show up in my CRM data. People are self-reporting that they found me in ChatGPT. Great. You validated. There's a thing there.
Sure. And it is scraping those results to some degree, right? In terms of trying to deliver an answer.
But that's what the focus should be on. And then a lot of those same firms, if you're like, okay, well, how does it compare to what you're getting from Google? And they're like, not even close.
Right.
Not even close.
Do you know the percent? I thought there was some data we had from the Near Media. Do you remember what the number was? It was talking about specifically like how many searches are still being done on Google versus on what was being pulled from.
Well, you're saying respondents that responded to the question about where was the first place they would go to look.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it was like 13% were ChatGPT, and I want to say, don't quote me on this, I don't have it top of my head, but it was like, I don't know, 40, 50 some percent for Google. But again, I'd be like, that's good survey data. But what I would like to see is for those firms that are actually seeing ChatGPT show up, what percentage of their overall mix is ChatGPT? Because again, oftentimes the pitch is, kill SEO and go do this GEO stuff because everybody now is using ChatGPT instead of Google.
Right. Which, by the way, is still a lot of the same SEO stuff that you should be doing anyways. And then there's an entire level of just what's old is new again. If it should be you talked a lot about affinity marketing and the local stuff, but that's really what this looks like now.
Well, and the thing is, I get it. Like I get why people want to package this up. It's more commoditizable, I suppose, but that's kind of the whole point is that, it's gonna be similar to what we've talked about in the past, like where this information and this training data and the various weights and all this other stuff that's going on, it's going to matter a lot more than like, firing off a brand mention post.
Yeah, right.
Like, where is it? Like, how frequently? But look, my whole thing is if you're going to buy into it, fantastic. Hold it accountable for business metrics. Hold them accountable for saying things like, okay, and I get it. People are going to be like, well, attribution myopia, like this is, it's all attribution's broken. I'd be like, there are limitations, huge limitations on it. But if you're not at a minimum getting self-reported data, let's see how often ChatGPT shows up in self-reported data. Now you can give it different weights. I'm not saying it has to be like direct response. Like you don't have to give full credit to ChatGPT, but you can figure out like where it is in the mix.
Real quick, just in case they're wondering.
Yeah.
Just explain the difference when you say the self-reported data versus like showing up in another way. Like let's just make sure we define and draw that distinction so someone knows if they're listening.
Yeah, we would call it qualitative attribution data, and that would be the person that is calling you or fills out the form during intake. When you ask them how there's a variety of ways you can ask it. How'd you hear about us? How'd you find our phone number? Who do we thank for the referral? That kind of stuff. The self-reported data is what they say, and people will say, oh well, they get it wrong all the time, or they don't know, and that can sometimes be just as valuable. But my point is that you get that data, you compare that data to your other qualitative sources and the quantitative underlying source. So you're like, that's how you tease out this journey of like, they self-reported on ChatGPT, but they actually converted from our Google local pack number.
Right.
And how to
not a linear journey, right? Like,
but you were able to piece it together. Now, again, someone might say, well, they sometimes get it wrong, and it's like, that's true, but over time and enough data, you start to see patterns emerge. The point being, though, is like, that's the only way to know, okay, ChatGPT start journey, abruptly stop ChatGPT journey, start Google journey on brand search, call Google local business profile number, and then self-report on that I found you on ChatGPT. That's the only way you're going to tease that out, because otherwise there's no quantitative data underneath.
Right. And we already know a lot of them are starting their search there, but they're like ending on Google. And so, be able to make that connection, not just the last point of attribution.
Right. Well, and look, we've been talking about the limitations of attribution and the impact of different models and infrastructure and all this kind of stuff for forever. This just makes it that much more challenging. And, again, I'm trying to be empathetic. People are trying to fill in the gaps with things like visibility trackers and AI rank trackers. But, I've seen the research that Rand Fishkin's put out at SparkToro. You could go check that out. But, surprise, there's a lot of variability in this system. Meaning,
it makes sense if you're having conversations, right? If you're having conversations with it, it's not going to be the same thing as like I type keyword, this thing pops up. This is not what it is.
Not to mention, this is going to get super hyper personalized. I mean, this is what Google's talking about. This is why there's so many betting on Google to win this race, because they got Gmail, they got YouTube, they got Google Drive. I mean, they have the data, and they have the ability to use that personalized data to help shape their responses. That's a huge leg up. And so, again, what you do, you and I can do the same prompt, several prompts, similar journey, and get wildly different responses based on the personalization.
Yeah.
And then we can have that conversation and get different results.
My own prompts and even in my own silo, separate from what someone else might be interacting.
Right. And again, the other thing to remember, and this is also true in the ads context, different results depending on what version of ChatGPT you're using. Are you using the free version? Are you in a logged in environment?
Right. Yeah.
That makes a difference too, because the underlying technology is different. What they're showing you, I believe they're not showing ads to the $20 a month user group right now.
So if I'm a lawyer and I'm getting these kind of emails, and I appreciate you've connected it back to like the accountability point, right? Like what are they talking about in terms of how this is connected back to business metrics, things that matter to you? Are there other things that an attorney should be looking for, right, when they receive those, looking into this kind of thing, of markers of like, is this a legit approach towards trying to build, visibility in this AI type of space, or is this snake oil? Flags, like tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'd be again, it's going to sound like a lot of the boring old stuff that we've been talking about forever, but I'd be like, one, show me some examples. Like, I want to see who you've done this for.
Where is the editorial that you're talking about here? What does it look like? Yeah.
Show me. I want to, and by the way, if we're going to do this together, I wanted an opportunity to review this stuff before you just fire it off into the ether.
Yep.
So you're going to allow me to sign off on this. That's an issue that I'd be concerned about. But I would be like, let me see. And so, if you're talking about like editorial posts, like if they've got what does that look like? Well, it's on a reputable site where they're covering a certain topic. It's not like a heavy AdSense play.
Which is
Maybe.
truly going to have little to no value. I mean, it didn't have a lot of value before, but boy, I mean, it's not going to chunk and pull from that kind of place.
Right. I mean, again, and then for me, like, what should they be looking at? I'd like to see how you're going to do directories. Like, is our direct, and I don't think directories are in here, but
expand on that a little bit when you say how they're going to do directories.
Well, I think that there was some of the major places that are in the training data are the legal directories. So when you're trying to train an AI on data about law firms, it makes a lot of sense to cross-reference the major directories. Mm-hmm. And so again, it's probably not to reduce it to a simplistic thing, but if part of the calculus is the frequency with which your brand appears on these training data sets, and the directories are included in that, I'd make sure that I'm in those directories. And then this propagated this whole thing about listicles. So and we saw this with Attorney Sync. A lot of our worthy rivals went out and created these top 10 lists, and we're grateful that you included us on there. So thank you. Please don't remove us. But the idea was that would increase the likelihood of these agencies appearing in the training data. And I think that I think it was demonstrated that for a period of time it was working. Will it continue to work? I don't know. Again, this is back to like SEO stuff. Like, you try stuff that there's risks that it might not work, and now you're deploying resources in a place that might be, make zero difference in 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. And that's the other thing too that I keep coming back to is, like, this isn't the end state of this.
It's in its infancy, or maybe it's 2 years old, whatever. It's young, and how quickly it iterates is so much faster than old school algorithm updates, a couple times a year type of feel.
Yeah, well, and again, this is what's the other, this email I pulled is actually not as rough as some of the other ones that I've read, but like, you've literally got the creators of this stuff being like, it's a black box. We don't really fully understand how it works. And then you get this email that's like, we've reverse engineered ChatGPT. And I'm like,
and here's how to game it, right? Like, we were just going to game it.
Like, were you the former CTO at Anthropic?
Who's saying they don't even know it as well as you're claiming to know it?
Right, man. Come on. And then, again, empathy. I feel bad. These lawyers, they're like, oh, they've cracked the code, and so sign me up.
And they know they need to do something.
And then they're like, oh yeah, and then they digital marketing snake oil. And it's like, yeah, I understand why you feel that way.
I know, so same.
But anyway, and my big thing too, and I'm kind of wrap this up here, but out of all of this conversation, I think the thing that I keep coming back to is, no matter what it is very irresponsible to build a business relying on, primarily on your visibility in these highly fluctuating, difficult to understand environments. I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna make a small investment over here, future proof, maybe do some of this stuff. But I'm spreading my marketing resources much wider, and I'm focused on things that I have a lot more. They're a lot more reliable. Like, email list building, like opt-in email lists. People that actually want to consume content from me, like they want to, follow my social accounts because they're actually interested in what I'm doing.
Yep.
And then put media dollars behind that, and advertise to people that are good referral sources to you, that might be professional networking referrals, all that kind of stuff. But
stay top of mind. Yep.
I'd be spreading my my resources in a different way. And anyway, so it's an exciting time, and it's a jungle out there.
It is a jungle out there, and a time of great change.
What an exciting time to be alive.
Absolutely. A lot of opportunity.
Well, Jeff, appreciate the conversation as always. And we will actually be, if you're watching this, we appreciate it. We'll be off clienting next week because I will be on vacation, but we'll resume the following Tuesday. And we hope you catch us 1 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays for another clienting conversation.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care, bud.
Bye.